guys, welcome back. I want to talk to you today about pemmican and why I think everyone should know how to make it and have it in your, kind of your survival food. Kind of like with hardtack. We all have hardtack or make hardtack or, reasons we have it. And same as hardtack, has a super long shelf life and shelf stable for the most part. I'll go into some details that can change that. But something, again, blessed I grew up with, having that and knowing about it. It was something that Native Americans did use when they were, especially in really cold climates, or if they were going out, hunting or traveling, they'd have that because it has the protein and it's nutrient dense, and then has the fats in it that they need. So especially if you live in a cold climate or in cold months, our bodies are going to need that fat. We're going to use a lot more of that trying to stay warm. And this is just one of those things to have. Now, if you're down in the South, like mine, for instance, a lot of times I keep mine in the fridge or freezer because, as the heat goes, depending on how much, fat, the tallow you put in it, it can melt. So let's go over that. Now, there's usually just three things you need. You can add more, and I'll go through that, but it's usually a lean meat. I tend to use beef with mine, a lean beef. You can use deer, elk, buffalo, whatever you want. Then you need like a beef tallow. Now you can buy jars already done. I have beef tallow at the grocery stores that are already done, or you can make your own. You can even go to butchers and different things, and just find the beef fat and make your own tallow. I've done both. You just remember, if you're making it, now some people do it in a crock pot. I do mine in a cast iron skillet, like a deeper skillet. You want to cook that low and slow, because it'll burn and it just isn't right. So you don't cook it like you do, say, bacon or something. And then you let all that fat come off of there for, a long period of time. You drain it off like as if you were doing like draining off bacon grease in a container, and then let it set, and then it'll solidify, and that's your beef tallow. Or like I said, you can buy it. And then some type of dried, berries. I tend to recommend and use dried blueberries because that is a superfood, but I have also used cranberries. That again is up to you. Just make sure they're good and dry, like dehydrated, because they'll gum up if you don't, and then there's moisture in there, and then it's not going to be real shelf stable. So, and I've added honey to mine before. Again, it's up to you. And some people will add, nuts or seeds like sunflower seeds. Again, that's up to you. Just keep in mind, the more ingredients you start adding, the shorter the shelf life can get. So just keep that in mind when you're doing it. Now, when you do your lean meat, I cook mine, and I do it in like thin strips. I cook it, and then drain the fat or any kind of grease or anything off of that, if there is any, and then I put it in a dehydrator. And you want to dehydrate that until it is flaky, like it needs to be more than some jerky. And then when you take all that out, you let it cool to whatever, and you can put it in a food processor or grind it up like you would do a poultice or something, and it should be like a flaky crumble, and then that it's dry enough. Now, I don't ever use, this way I cook a lot of things also, and it drives people crazy. I don't ever use exact measurements when I make things like this, because it depends on what I have on hand. But they usually say equal parts of each thing. I don't always find that to be true. Again, depending on your climate, you're not going to need as much tallow in yours because it's going to melt and it's going to become, a big pile of mush, which you can still eat it that way, but it just depends. And I don't tend to need as much in mine. So you take, say, if it was 3 parts, you would take, equal parts of your crumbled up dried lean meat, same as your dried crumbled up, berries or not, anything else you choose to put in there. And then when you do the tallow, I say put half the amount that you have in it first. And you're going to work that in, even start doing it with your hands. You only want enough that it kind of forms it into the ingredients to all stick. You don't want a bunch of extra or more like liquidy, like you don't want that much. And if you don't need the rest of it, it doesn't take much, don't use the rest of it. Then you take that, and a lot of things that work really good is like muffin tins, the regular size ones or the mini ones, and you don't fill them all the way up. You don't make them really thick. It's up to you. Or you can flatten it out on a cookie sheet, about 1/4 of an inch thick or so. You can do it larger than that if you want. And you're just gonna make them into little bars or squares, chunks or whatever. And then you freeze that or put it in your refrigerator, whichever one you want to do, and it'll come a hard thing. And then I like some of mine, which I have here. These are the ones in my freezer. I wrap them individually in like wax paper or parchment paper. And you put these in your go bags, or you keep them with you if it's just a survival food I think you should have. And they're kind of like little nutrient looking bars. And this one is one that has cranberries. It smells like kind of grease and fat. And they all come out a tad bit different. That's just one of those things depending on how much you use, which meat you use. And I just think everybody should have this and know how to make these. This is a nutrition pack. If something happens, we know where things are going. I think that you should know how to do that. I'll put some of the written out, we'll say directions, not the measurements out in the description, but it's something else I hope helps you guys. I encourage everyone to have this, same as your hardtack. And I want everyone to stay well, God bless, and I'll see you next time.